The idea of extraterrestrials lurking in the shadows of our world is enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Especially when we consider the possibility that we're not just dealing with visitors from the stars, but with beings who might have already established a foothold here deep beneath our oceans. While humanity is busy dreaming about colonizing Mars, we've barely scratched the surface of our own planet's mysteries, having EXP explored only 5% of the vast, uncharted waters that cover most of Earth. This leaves 95% of our oceans shrouded in mystery, potentially hiding advanced alien civilizations right under our noses. The thought becomes even more terrifying when you consider the harrowing encounters reported by military personnel. Forget the skies. This time the threat seems to be coming from the deep, with the Russian Navy standing at the forefront of these eerie underwater alien confrontations. What are they after and why now? Let's dive into the unsettling details of these bone-chilling encounters. The Russian military has encountered UFOs on multiple occasions, as recently as the Russia-Ukraine war in March 2024, where a black disc-like stationary object was observed by Ukrainian soldiers. Similarly, there have been close to 45 instances when the Russian military sent fighter jets to try and chase UAPs and shoot them down in some cases. Just like alien spacecraft seen in the sky are called UAPs, that is, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Alien vessels seen underwater are called USOs, which means unidentified submerged objects. And back in July 2009, the Russian government declassified top-secret documents which talked about close encounters of USOs with the Russian Navy. This disclosure sent shockwaves around the world. Russian divers come face-to-face with underwater aliens. This is by far the most terrifying encounter revealed in Russia's declassified reports. Coming face-to-face with an extraterrestrial on land is enough for anyone to freeze to death. Now imagine coming face-to-face with not one but 6 aliens when diving underwater at great depths. There is literally no escape. That's exactly what happened in Siberia in 1982. Lake Bol is infamous for unusual alien and UFO activity in Russia, with a depth of 1,642 meters. Lake Bol is the deepest freshwater lake in the world. It contains 20% of the world's unfrozen freshwater. On that fateful day, Russian Navy divers were conducting a research mission as very little is known about this UFO hotspot. A total of 7 divers embarked on this scary mission, totally oblivious of the fact that this dive would change their lives forever. They all went up to a depth of about 50 meters, which is not too far in deep sea diving terms. But suddenly, a few minutes into the water, the divers had an unnerving feeling that they were being watched. When they turned behind to see what it was, they got the shock of their lives. They encountered strange humanoid creatures who were much larger than normal human beings. They were wearing some sort of futuristic helmets. The 7 divers were dumbstruck and feared for their lives. These creatures were almost 9 to 10 feet tall, pretty much resembling the 10-feet alien seen on top of a mountain in Brazil earlier this year. In addition to the sci-fi helmets, they were also wearing very tight-fitting silvery suits. None of the equipment the aliens wore resembled anything that a normal scuba diver would wear. They didn't even carry any oxygen tanks. Does this mean that these creatures have always been living underwater and are hence used to underwater breathing conditions? And while all this tension was building up, the Russian divers made the horrid decision of trying to capture the underwater aliens to show to their superiors in a split second. The divers attempted to get a hold of one of the weaker-looking aliens, but at that exact moment, as a defense mechanism, the alien exerted some sort of powerful thrust that pushed all the 7 divers to the surface within a few seconds. Such a rapid rise is very fatal for any human, as it leads to decompression and, in some cases, even death. Out of the 7 divers that were thrown back to the surface of the water, 3 died on the spot, and the remaining 4 were very severely injured due to decompression. Had the divers not taken such an aggressive approach, they would still live to tell the tale. This is one of the few encounters where aliens have acted with hostility in their defense against humans. But the second underwater encounter that the Russian Navy had with such aliens almost made them feel like they were about to go to war with them. Russian Navy encounters underwater USOs. Most of these USOs encounters happened during the Soviet era, that is before 1991. One such disclosure pertains to an undated encounter of the Russian Navy with a group of hostile USOs. Crew aboard a fully weaponized Russian submarine encountered these so-called USOs at a depth of approximately 260 meters. The crew suddenly detected 6 unknown objects on their sonar, all moving in synchronized fashion on a collision course towards the military sub. The military personnel were dumbstruck after it was detected that USOs were traveling at an astounding speed of 265 miles per hour. Even the fastest man-made submarine the Soviet era, K-222, could only reach a top speed of 51.4 miles per hour. Thus, these alien USOs were traveling at speeds 7 times faster than any technology known to man. This was highly unnerving for these seasoned and well-trained military personnel who had never experienced anything like this before. The 6 disc-shaped objects moving in formation continued to move at rapid speeds towards the sub. But something very shocking happened when the Russian military personnel thought that all hope was lost, when the Russian sub got alarmed by the incoming USOs and stopped moving. The 6 hostile USOs also froze in their tracks, so as to say that the USOs were only toying around with the Russian sub. But sensing imminent danger, the Russian submarine operatives manned their battle stations. The captain of the sub feared that there was going to be a definite collision and that he and his crew were under attack by the aliens. In this dire situation, rather than using underwater missiles, the captain ordered for an emergency surfacing of the sub. The submarine finally breached the surface, narrowly avoiding a collision with USOs. When the sub operatives checked through the periscope, these 6 objects beamed out of the water and shot up into the sky at absurdly high speeds. Now, was this encounter a hostile show of dominance, or were these USOs merely fleeing the spot to avoid detection? We will never know, but encountering ships that travel at high speeds underwater, that effortlessly continue the same momentum in air, just goes to show that these extraterrestrials possess a technology far superior than ours. And if they have such advanced technology, what is stopping them from waging a full-on war with all the countries on Earth? And if such an unforeseen circumstance does occur, are we capable enough to work as a solid team and defend our home with all our military might combined? Alien invasion has long been the fascination of science fiction directors, with movies like Independence Day and Mars Attack being fan favorites. In both these movies, the plot is pretty simple. Aliens come to Earth, and that results in a full-on invasion, and our military weapons don't stand a chance against their super advanced technology. But by some Hollywood miracle, we find a weakness or a chink in their armor, and that helps us win the war against these aliens. But will that actually be the case when a real alien attack happens? Are militaries around the world ready to work together as a joint force in case of such an imminent threat? In the event that an alien attack happens tomorrow, the world's superpowers will have to join all their military might to defend our planet against these space invaders, but assuming that the alien species attacking us is really advanced. Do our earthly weapons even stand a chance? Chance against their superior weaponry? In Hollywood movies, aliens have been shown to have powerful lasers that vaporize their targets. If that is indeed the case, then do our earthly military forces have adequate armor to protect them from such futuristic lasers? It's also sometimes shown in such movies that the alien spaceship has some sort of force field that protects them from outer attacks and missiles. Do we have the advanced weaponry to penetrate such force fields? Also, talking about lasers, the US Navy also has its own laser called the Unexplained laser weapon system. It can shoot down a small UAV in as little as 2 seconds. This laser in its most powerful form might be the only weapon that might be formidable to the aliens. Because as seen in most UFO videos, the alien aircrafts are able to move quickly from one point to another, thus making it difficult to nearly impossible for our ballistic missiles to strike them. Even our current heat-seeking missiles might find it difficult to target these spaceships. As a dying measure, we might have to eventually turn towards our stockpile of nuclear weapons, hoping that we never have to resort to the use of this life-destroying weapon. But if ever it comes to that, our best option will be to use the Tsar Bomba, which is the most powerful nuclear weapon ever created and tested by the Soviet Union in the year 1961. It yielded an explosion equivalent to 57 megatons of TNT. On this basis of comparison, the Hiroshima bomb was about 15 kilotons, while the Nagasaki one was 25 kilotons. Mere babies compared to this nuclear juggernaut, and even if we use the Tsar Bomba, it would have to be a mid-air attack, as anything on ground would result in a huge number of casualties. But if the alien spaceship is able to shoot down the Tsar Bomba even before it hits them, then we are completely out of options. So let's hope that whenever an advanced alien species does make contact with us on Earth, they come with a message of peace and friendship, and not war and destruction. But what do you think will happen if aliens do ever plan to attack Earth for its resources? That's all for today. Let us know in the comments what you liked most in this video, and we'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for updates on new videos.